Hello and welcome, friends, to Yoga This Week. My name is Jane Stimpson. I'm a librarian with the Lone Star College CyFair Library, also a branch of the Harris County Public Library. I am delighted to announce that we now are open for curbside pickup by appointment only. So if you have holds on library items, you can now pick them up at the CyFair Library. Check our social media for all the details. Remember that while the library is closed, all of our events and programs are coming to you online. So you can check out all of our events online as well at cyflib.info/events. Yoga is coming to you every other week. A new class is posted Thursdays at 5:30 p.m. So delighted you could join me this evening. For tonight's class, we are going to be starting with a little bit of breath work. We are going to end with a meditation. And in the middle, we are going to move. So we'll have sort of a slowish warm-up. And then we're going to practice something called the moon salutation. Most of the time in yoga, we are doing sun salutations, but there is such a thing as a moon salutation and an earth salutation. So we're going to try out that moon salutation a couple of times tonight. You're going to see it's pretty different from our usual sun salutations. So we're actually going to start out tonight by practicing the three-part yogic breath. So go ahead and just lie down and get comfortable. I am going to stay seated so I can kind of talk you through it, but I would like you to lie back in whatever a comfortable position for you is this evening. So just take a moment and get really comfy. So we call this a three-part breath because we are going to fill our bodies with air starting in the belly, and then we're going to fill up our lungs, and then we're going to fill up our chest with air on our inhale. So belly, lung, chest. And then when we exhale, we're going to start that exhale in the belly, and we're going to exhale all the air first out of the belly, and then the lungs, and then the chest. And a really great way to feel these parts of your body filling up with air is to actually place your hands on your body while you're breathing. So I would like you to start lying down. Place your right hand over your belly button and place your left hand over your right hand. And I want you to just start by inhaling and think about starting that inhale in the belly. And as you inhale, feel your belly push against your hands. Feel your hands rising as you inhale and fill that belly with air. And then as you exhale, feel your hands fall as you empty the belly with air. Good. One more time. Inhale, fill up. Feel the hands rising as you fill the belly. And then on your exhale, really try and pull your belly button down, almost like you could pull it to the floor and feel your hands falling. Now, the next place we're going to fill up with air after the belly is the lungs. So to feel that, bring your right hand to the outside of your left ribs. Bring your left hand to the outside of your right ribs. So it's kind of like you're giving yourself a hug right now. So as you inhale, first feel the belly rising, and then feel your hands expanding outward as you fill the lungs with air. On your exhale, the belly falls. Feel your hands contract as the lungs empty with air. Good, one more deep breath like that. Inhale, filling the belly, filling the lungs, feeling the hands expand. Exhale, emptying the belly, feeling the hands contract. Now, the third part of our three-part yogic breath is the chest. So to feel that, bring your right hand to the left collarbone. Bring your left hand to the right collarbone. And on your next inhale, feel the belly fill up. Feel the lungs fill up. And then the last part, feel your hands rising just a little bit as your chest fills up. And then exhale, the belly falls. The lungs contract. The hands on the collarbone fall just a little bit as the chest empties. So inhale, filling the belly, filling the lungs, chest and hands rise last. And then exhale, emptying the belly, emptying the lungs, the hands fall. Now you can move your hands to your side and just place them on your sides, palms up or down. You can bring one hand onto your belly, one hand over your heart. If you like having that contact with your belly. We're going to continue the three-part breath, but we're going to bring a count to this. So we're going to inhale for 5. We're going to hold it a little bit up at the top. Then we're going to exhale for 5 and hold it a little bit at the bottom before we fill up again. So I want you to think as we do this breathing, think about systematically filling the belly, the lungs, the chest, and then emptying the belly, the lungs, and the chest. So really control, right? Inhale slowly like we're filling a container, and then exhale slowly like we're releasing the air from a balloon, okay? All right. So get your hands positioned, however you'd like hands to be. And then when you're ready, exhale all the air out. And now inhale for 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Pause at the top. Exhale for 1, emptying the belly. 2, 3, emptying the lungs. 4, 5. Pause at the bottom, completely empty. Inhale, fill the belly for 1, 2, fill the lungs. 3, 4, fill the chest. 5, hold. And then exhale for 1, 2, steady. 4, 5, hold at the bottom. Inhale for 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, hold. Exhale slow. 2, 3, steady. 5, pause. Empty. Couple more rounds. Inhale for 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, hold. Exhale 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, hold. Last round. Inhale 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Hold it at the top. Suck in just a little tiny bit more air. And then exhale for 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and release. So just come back to a normal rhythm of breathing. No trying to control the breath at all. And as you're reclined here, I want you to bend the knees and bring the soles of your feet to touch. Okay, that's the only movement we're going to take for right now. Just bringing the soles of the feet to touch. And if that's too much too soon on your hips, what you can do instead is bring the soles of your feet to your mat, so feet flat. Make them mat width apart, and just bring the knees in together to touch. Okay, so 2 options right now. Feet planted on the mat, mat width, knees touching, or the soles of your feet are touching. And hands can rest lightly on top of the thighs. And I want you to just take a minute here as we slowly work into the physical to notice if that breath work made any difference in your energy level or your awakeness, your awareness, any difference in the body or the mind with that breathing. One of the goals, one of the byproducts of that 3-part breath is that it helps you take in a lot more oxygen. So one of the reasons that it's good to practice this lying down is because sometimes that can make us a little bit lightheaded. So nice to practice that 3-part breath lying down and be able to check in with our bodies and see how that breath makes us feel. Now, while we're here, whichever variation of the leg that you chose, let's get in a little bit of a shoulder stretch too, okay? So take your left arm out to your side And then cross it across the chest so that left palm is facing down. And then just take your right hand to the outside of the left shoulder. You could just gently sort of hug that left shoulder in. And if your left fingertips come to the floor, that's fine. Just doing double duty here with a little hip stretch there in the legs and a little shoulder stretch. Good, and then release that left arm. Keep bending. Take the right arm out to the side, cross it across the body, and then gently hug in with the left arm. And then release that. If your knees are together, just leave them there for a moment. If, like me, the soles of your feet are together with knees out wide, bring your hands to the outside of your thighs and use your hands to press your knees back in together. And then step the feet mat width apart. Everybody now is going to windshield wiper the knees back and forth. Knees don't have to go down very far to each side. Just be sort of a subtle and small windshield wiper. Good. And then bring the knees to stillness and bend them into the chest. And just give the knees a hug. And then separate the knees about hip width apart. Bring one hand to the top of each knee and just drive the knees around in circles. My knees are actually going in opposite direction circles. You're just starting to warm up the leg and the leg socket there. And then switch the direction of your circles. You might hear some snap, crackle, pops from your hips or your knees here. That's okay, it just is needed. And one more time, hug the knees in, and maybe take a little rock from side to side and use that to give the low back a nice little massage. And actually, if you wanted to move the hips in circles to get a little bit more into that low back, go ahead and move the hips in circles. And then switch the direction of your circles. You always want to even up. Now, we're going to come up to a seated position. So you have a couple of ways to get there. If you want to just rock over onto one side right now and then use your hands to push yourself up to seated, go ahead and do that. Or switch the direction of your rock so that you're rocking front to back. And then maybe your rock gets so big, you can easily come up to a seated position. Nice. Okay. So we're here in a seated position, easy sit, cross leg, whatever works for you in our sit. Bring one hand to the top of each knee. We're going to take some seated cat-cow. So first, set your seat and get tall. Pull the waist out of the hips. Pull the rib cage out of the waist. The gaze is straight ahead. Nice. All right. So on your inhale, I want you to arch the back and lift and broaden the chest. Look up for seated cow. On your exhale, round the back, tuck the chin into the chest for your seated cow. Good, several more rounds. Inhale, arch, look up, cow. Exhale, round and tuck, cat. Just moving with your own breath and your own pace here for these seated cat-cows. Making this fluid, making this feel good in your body. Just take a couple more rounds of that seated cat-cow. It can be as big or as subtle as you want to make it. Linking the breath with the movement and being intentional is more important than how deeply you're going into the poses. And then just come back to a neutral spine. Okay. I want you to look down and notice which leg is in front if you're in a seated cross-leg position, because we're going to take a twist in that direction. So if, like me, your right leg is in front, I want you to bring that left hand behind you and the left hand to the right knee. If you have your left leg in front, left hand behind you, right hand, left knee. Okay. Inhale, get really tall. And then exhale, just a small, teeny little twist. We're not cranking it hard. We're just warming up. Twist to the right. We're not going to be here long either. Maybe just another breath or two. And then come on back. If your right leg was in front, switch it. Your left leg was in front, switch it too. So switch the cross of your legs. Now my left leg is in front, so my left hand is going behind me, right hand, left knee. Your right leg is in front, right hand behind you, left hand, right knee. Inhale, get tall. Exhale, twist, just a little twist to the left. On your next exhale, come on back to the center. And we did this recline, but we're going to try this again seated. Bring the soles of the feet together, and you can make this a little bit more easeful if you push the heels away from you. You could even separate the feet. Okay, so do what you need to do to make this feel all right in your hips and low back. And if it feels okay, hang on to your ankles. Inhale, get tall. And with a flat back, fold forward only as far as you can comfortably keep that flat back, and then fingers can come out in front. You can relax the head and neck down if you like. With each inhale, thinking about extending the spine, making it straighter. With each exhale, thinking about maybe folding down just a teeny bit further. Same if it feels different than when we did it reclined. Inhale deeply here. And then on your exhale, gently, slowly walk the hands back center. And then swing the legs to one side and come up onto your knees. All right. We're going to be doing some side stretching in our noon salutation. So this is a really great pose to warm up into that. We're going to take a gate pose. So bring your right foot out to the right. Those right toes are pointing forward. And if you need to put something under this left knee, you can always roll up the end of your mat and rest the left knee on that just for a little bit more cushion. Whatever you do though, I want you to take a second to make sure that this left hip is directly over the left knee. So we're making a straight line on this left side while the right leg is out to a 45-degree angle, toes pointing forward. Good. Right hand resting lightly on the right thigh, palm face up or down, your choice. And then on your next inhale, raise the left arm. And then on your exhale, side bend over to the right. So we're feeling a lovely side stretch all the way from our left hip through our left fingertips here. Taking a breath here. And you can look up underneath the left arm for a gaze point, or if that's too much strain on the neck, you can just gaze straight forward. And then on your next inhale, come on up. And we'll take that on the other side. So bring that right knee back in. If you felt it felt nice to have that cushion underneath the left knee, Go ahead and set yourself up on the other side. I don't know if you can tell here, but my living room is a concrete floor, so that's pretty hard to practice yoga on. It's hard on the joints, so a lot of times I do give myself that extra padding, right? Okay, so take a moment, make sure right hip over right knee, we're straight up and down here. Left toes are pointing straight ahead. Left leg is out, it's sort of a 45-degree angle. Left palm rests lightly on the left thigh. Then we're going to inhale that right arm up. Exhale, side stretch over. And notice if you feel different on one side than the other. You may be able to side stretch a little deeper on one side. That's super normal. Maybe play with that hand position too, right? Notice which one feels more natural for you. Sometimes it's nice to place the palm down on that left leg and get a little bit more support. And then on your next inhale, come on up. Bring that left knee back in, unroll your mat if you had it rolled, and come onto your hands and knees. And just before we transition to standing here, just take a second to stir your own pot, right? Just move in a way that feels good for you. If you had any last kinks or anything to work out, maybe take a little bit of movement now. All right, and then eventually coming to stillness, making sure those hands are underneath the shoulders, tuck the toes, and lift the hips up and back for your downward facing dog. So hands are rooting down and forward. Shoulders are away from the ears. And then one leg at a time here. Start to walk your dog, stretching into the hamstring. And then come up high onto the ball of both feet. And then shift those hips towards the back of the room. And then let the heels follow as they drive towards the back of the mat. One more deep in-breath here. And on your exhale, slowly start to walk the feet forward towards the hands, taking your time. And then with your knees gently bent as much as you like, grab opposite elbow. Just gently sway from side to side. Good. Release your elbows. And taking your time without any rushing, slowly roll up, vertebrae by vertebrae. Head stays bowed. Pull your straight, shoulders roll back, head comes up last. Nice. All right, we're going to start our standing series, and before we dive right into that moon salutation, I want to take, as usual, a few half salutations just to get into a standing flow, linking breath with movement. Take your Tadasana at the front of the mat. Our moon salutation will also start this way in our mountain pose. Feet rooted, either together or hip width apart. Legs engaged, tailbone tucked, shoulders back. Exhale everything. And on your inhale, raise the arms to the sky. On your exhale, bend the knees and fold forward, bringing the hands to shins or mat. On your inhale, hands to the shins, flatten the back like you're coming up halfway. Exhale, refold into those shins, reset the hands. Inhale, press the feet into the mat, lift the arms to the sky, lift the torso, lift the gaze. And exhale, hands return to our side. Let's take a couple more half steps. Inhale, arms will rise. Exhale, forward fold, knees bending as much as we like. Inhale, lift halfway, flat back. Exhale, fold. Inhale, arms rise. Exhale, hands return. And hands can return to your sides, or hands can return to a prayer position, palms together in front of your heart, your choice. Last half sal. Inhale, arms rise. Exhale, forward fold. Inhale, hands to the shins, flat back, look up. Exhale and fold. And inhale, we rise. Arms and gaze, look and reach. Exhale, return. All right, friends, we're going to take our moon salutation. So we'll go through it once, just sort of learning the movement, and then the second time we do it, we'll try and be a little bit more fluid with it, with the breath, okay? And I'm actually going to start at this side of my mat because it's a little bit easier to see me on this side in what we're doing, okay? You can stay right where you are at the top of your mat. All right, so let's take our mountain pose. Our moon salutation starts the same way our sun salutations do. Mountain pose, feet firmly planted. Now, the first part of our moon salutation, we're going to inhale, arms rise. Now, you can keep the hands apart, or you can steeple the fingers here. You can see that, but kind of like a Charlie's Angel, right? So we inhale, we steeple the fingers above our head. And then on our exhale, we're going to side stretch, bend over to the right. Inhale, come up center. And then exhale, side stretch to the left. Inhale, come center. Now you see why we're doing side stretch. Exhale, the arms release. Turn to your right and take a big step out with your right foot. Turn the heels in and the toes out. Arms out wide, palms face forward, chin lifts. This is star pose, and I think you can see why. Making a nice star shape with our body. And now I want you to bend your arms, bring the chin back in line. So we're bending our arms, palms facing our head, and then we're going to bend our knees. Okay, this is goddess pose. Now, bring your hands to your hips just for a second. I want to show you something. So in goddess pose, you have variation in the heels. I want you to try just lifting just your right heel off the ground. Okay, feel the change in your balance. Set the right heel down. Lift just the left heel. Set the left heel down. Okay, now here's the really tricky bit. I want you to try and lift both heels off the ground. Good, and then reset your arms. So this is one variation of goddess pose you can take. You can also just leave the heels down. It's all good. All right, straight into those legs. Bring the hands to the hips just for a second. Point the left toes towards the long side of your mat. Point the right toes towards the short side. Arms out to the side, palms face down. We're coming into triangle pose on the right side. So reach, reach, reach with the right hand. When you can't reach any further, kick the back hip back and bring that right hand to rest wherever it wants. Okay, so if you can make it all the way to the floor, great. If you have hand on shin or ankle, also fine. Okay. That left arm reaches for the sky. So here in a triangle pose. And of course, if you all wanted to grab a block, you can always bring a hand to a block as well. All right, now the next pose in our moon salutation is a pyramid pose. So what we're going to do is bring the left arm down, look down at that front foot, and I want you to just gently bend into that front knee just for a moment while we pick this back heel up and re-pivot it down. So the front toes are still pointing towards the short end of the mat, but now these back toes are pointing off at a 45-degree angle or so. Okay. Now, if hands can come comfortably to the floor, great. If you have blocks or books, I think I'm going to use my block option for this, you can bring them to either side of this front foot. Okay. If that back heel doesn't come down and is up, totally fine, no big deal. Now, while we're here in pyramid, we're going to reset for a second. So inhale, flatten the back, lift halfway like we do in our half circles. And then exhale and refold and try and relax that head and neck here in pyramid. Now I'm going to keep my blocks on either side because we're coming into crescent moon. So very gently bend into this front knee. As you do that, come off the left heel and bring that left knee down to the mat. Inhale, lift the chest, but leave the hands down. And now we're going to come into a low left side lunge. So I'm going to get rid of my blocks. And I'm going to pivot my toes to the left towards the left side of the mat. Or excuse me, towards the long edge of the mat. I'm going to lift my left knee. So my left leg is straight like it was in that gate pose. My right knee is bent. My hands are sort of towards my right foot. Okay, we're in a low lunge. Kind of like a wide leg forward bend, but our right knee is bent. Good. We're just going to shift that to the other side. So walk the hands to the left as you straighten the right leg and bend into the left. And so from here, we're basically mirroring the poses that we did, but on the other side. Okay? So with that, pivot the toes to the left. So once more, you are facing the front of your mat. Bring the back knee down. Here we are in our crescent moon. Take a breath here. On your exhale, tuck that back toe if it's not already tucked, and straighten into both legs. We're going to come into our pyramid. It's okay if that back heel doesn't touch. But wherever you are, take a second, flatten the back, and then exhale and refold. And then we're going to pivot that back heel down towards the mat. Back toes point out to the long side of the mat. Leave that left hand down or bring it to the left foot or left ankle. We're coming into our triangle, right? So once you have that left hand down, use it to help open up the right side of the chest and the right arm to the ceiling. And then we're going to inhale, use our core strength to come up. Turn our toes again so that toes are out, ankles are in. Bend the elbows into the knees. Maybe lift the heels for our goddess pose. And then set the heels down. Straighten the legs and the arms out. Lift the chin, star pose. And then lowering the arms. Stepping back up to the top of the mat. Inhale, lift the arms, steeple the fingers. Exhale, side stretch to the left. Inhale, come up. Exhale, side stretch to the right. Inhale, come up. And exhale, release the hands. We're back into Tadasana. That's a moon salutation. It's a trip, right? We're going to go through it one more time, but let's just take a second to rest and reset before we go through that next one. So I want you to take a couple of options here. You can stay in Tadasana, bring your hands, palms touching with the fingers spread wide. Connect the thumb to your breastbone and gaze down at your fingertips and just take a couple of slow, deep breaths. Your other option, if you want to take a little bit more of a moving rest, is to maybe bring your feet a little bit wider than hips width and take some barrel rolls with the hips in one direction. And then in the other direction. And then come to a stillness. Okay. So friends, we're going to run through that moon salutation again. And then we're going to bring it down to the mat to stretch and recover a little bit. And then we'll take our meditation and our final rest pose. All right. So come up to the front of your mat. Take your mountain pose. We start moon salutation like sun salutation. Now this time we are going to go a little bit, not quick, not speedy, but a little bit more with the breath. So this is more of a vinyasa flow through this salutation. All right. So take your mountain pose, gazing straight ahead. And when you're ready, inhale, arms will rise. Steeple the fingers. Exhale, side stretch to the right. Inhale to center. Exhale, side stretch to the left. Inhale, center. Exhale, drop the hands, turn to the right. Take a big step out with the right foot. Toes out, heels in. Arms wide, lift the chin, star pose. Inhaling here. And on your exhale, bend into the knees, bend the elbows, palms face the ears. Maybe lift the heels, goddess pose. Inhale here. Exhale, set the heels down, straighten the legs, hands to the hips for now. Left toes long edge, right toes point to the short edge. Arms wide, palms face down. Reach with the right hand, kick the left hip out, and drop into triangle pose on the right side. Left arm, left side of the chest is open. Gaze is up towards the ceiling or out straight. Inhale and triangle. On your exhale, bring the left hand down to the other side of the right foot. Come off that back heel and point the left toes a little bit more towards 45 degrees. Inhale, flatten the back. And then exhale, fold over that front knee in your pyramid for a breath. Inhaling here. Exhale, come off that back heel. Bring the back knee down, bend into the front knee. Inhale here in crescent. And on your exhale, come off that back knee, pivot both toes towards the long edge of the mat. Left leg straight, right knee bent in our side lunge. Inhale. And exhale, walk the hands to the left foot, bend the left, straighten the right. Inhale, look forward. And then on your exhale, pivot the toes back towards the front of the mat. Back heel up, back knee down. Breath here in our crescent moon. Inhale. On your exhale, tuck the back toes, straighten both legs. Inhale, flatten the back. Exhale, fold over that front leg. Totally fine if the front knee's bent. Totally fine if the back heel's up. Pyramid pose. Inhaling here. Exhale, pivot that back heel down, so back toes point towards the long side of the mat. Maybe move that left hand to the leg and open up the right hand and right side of the chest to triangle. Inhale here in triangle. On your exhale, come all the way back up. Look down at your feet, toes point out, heels in. Bend the knees, bend the arms. Maybe lift the heels, goddess pose. Exhale, heels down if they were up. Straighten the legs, straighten the arms, lift the chin for star pose. Inhale. And on your exhale, hands to the hips, step up to the front of the mat. Inhale, arms lift, fingertips steeple. Exhale, drop to the left. Inhale, rise. Exhale, drop to the right. Inhale, rise. Exhale, release the hands. Mountain pose. Excellent job with that noon salutation, y'all. I know that is tricky. All right, just one last standing pose before we bring it all down. So bring your feet about hips width apart. Remember, a good way to measure is to take 2 fists and bring it down. Make sure that's the distance between your feet. All right. Inhale, get really tall. Exhale, fold forward and take your peace sign fingers and grab onto your big toes. And it's totally fine for knees to be bent. Take a second, try and flatten the back like you're coming up halfway. And then on your exhale, fold in, elbows out to the sides, scooping your big toes, releasing everything from the low back, spine, the head, the neck, just let it all fall.
Good. One more breath here in our fold. And then on your exhale, gently release the toes, really bend into the knees, and slowly roll up. Just like we did when we first came to standing.
Nice. All right. We're just going to come down to seated. You can just sit down if you want, or if you would like a transition, you can stand in your mountain pose. Inhale the arms up to your ears. Exhale, sit back like you're in your chair. And just keep sitting, keep sitting, keep sitting, keep sitting until you come all the way down. Your choice. Wherever you are, bring your legs long, feet flat, hands resting by your sides. And we're going to start with a staff pose. So in a staff pose, I want you to picture your chest like your chest is doing a cow. So arch the back, puff the chest, but your chin is doing a cat. So really tuck the chin down to your chest here. And feet and hands are bright and active. A staff pose. Just breathing here. Good. Deep inhale. And on your exhale, release. Inhale, lift the arms by your ears, get tall. And exhale, fold forward, Paschimottanasana, bringing the hands wherever they want to rest this evening. Good. One more inhale. And on your exhale, gently release. Last seated pose, we're going to take your legs out wide to a straddle. They don't have to be very wide if they're more like this than this. All good. Take a moment, get tall, fingertips to the middle. Inhale, get really tall. And then on your exhale, walk the fingertips forward. It doesn't have to be very much. But if you're one of those people that can get your whole chest down to the floor here, more power to you. And like with bound angle, you can relax the head and the neck here. Just make sure that that back is staying flat. We're not hunching over. One more inhale here. And on your exhale, slowly, gently walk the hands back in. Bring your hands behind your knees. You can use your hands to bend your knees and bring your feet flat on the mat. And if you moved like me and you want to come back to being long way on your mat, go ahead and get long ways. So feet are flat on the mat, knees are bent, arms out straight. We're just going to roll down one vertebrae at a time to recline. And then we're going to take a bridge pose while we're here. So step your feet in so you can kind of just brush the backs of your heels with your fingertips. Arms are resting long by our sides, palms down. Actually, no, for right now, bring your hands to your hips, and I want you to feel this. So with your hands on your hip points here, or in the general area of your hips, I want you to tilt the pelvis back away from your knees. Feel the low back imprinting on the mat. And then tilt the pelvis forward, exaggerate the arch in your back. tilt it back, imprint the low back on the mat. And just do that a couple more times. Just tilting the pelvis forward, exaggerating that space between the mat and the low back, and then tilting it back and imprinting the low back. One last time, tilt it forward, arch the back. Then exhale, tilt the pelvis back, imprint the low back, and now bring the hands long by your sides. And from here, press the feet into the mat to lift your hips. Press the backs of the upper arms into the mat to help lift the chest. Chin should be away from the chest here, so we're not tucking the chin into the chest. And if you can, try and relax the glutes. I definitely have the tendency to like squeeze the glutes up tight here, but try and get strength in the core by pressing from your arms and your feet. Good. Just a couple more breaths here on our bridge pose. Good, and now we're not going to collapse down, but on your next exhale, start to release the spine down one vertebrae at a time until the entire back is lying back on the mat. And then we're just going to rest with that feeling for a second. We're not going to move right away out of that. We're just going to let the spine and the hips sort of neutralize for a second. Okay. So now we're going to go ahead, bend the knees into the chest. Maybe take a little rock from side to side if that felt nice on your low back. Now cross the right ankle on top of the left thigh. Make sure this right foot is flexed, so toes are pointing back towards the knee. Left foot is off the floor and is just relaxed and hanging out. Clasp your hands behind the left thigh, or if you have a lot of flexibility, you can clasp around the left shin. Inhale where you are, and on your exhale, gently hug the knees towards the chest. Now, we're going to turn this into a twist. So if you're pulling in, just gently back off. And then unclasp your hands, but leave your legs exactly as they are. And bring your arms out to a T. Bring the left toe down to the mat. And then just gently lift your hips and shift them to the right, just the smallest amount. Good. Bring the whole left foot down on the mat. And you're just going to shift the hips to the left so that that right foot ends up stamping down to the left side. If you want, you can look to the right hand. Now, if this is too much twist for you, you can take an easier twist just by stacking the right leg on top of the left leg, right? That's up to you. And then to come back, inhale, come back, stamp both feet down on the floor. Reset your hips if you need to. And then we're going to switch sides. So crossing the left ankle on top of the right thigh. Lift that right foot off the floor. Make sure left foot is flexed. And clasp behind right thigh or right shin. Inhale where you are. Exhale, gently pull in.
One more inhale here. And on your exhale, release your clasp. Bring that right foot down to the mat. And as you do that, use that to just pick your hips up and shift them over to the left. Arms out to a T. Drop the feet, the hips, everything over to the right so that the left foot comes down. Then look to the left. Good. All right. When you're ready, bring that all back in. Recenter the hips. Hug both knees into the chest. And we're going to come up to seated for our meditation before our final rest pose. So again, you can take some rocks from side to side, rock all the way over onto one side and use hands to push you up. Or you can switch the direction of your rock until you rock all the way up to a seat. It is your choice. Whatever you do, once you're up to a seat, go ahead and get comfortable in a seat. So if you want to take a second to grab a cushion like I have and sit up on that, go for it. Otherwise, you could also roll up the back of your mat and sit on the roll. But we're going to be seated for a few minutes. Hopefully our hips are all nice and warmed up. But do what you need to do to get comfy and stay seated for the next few moments here. All right. Take a comfortable sit. And we'll get tall. So pull the waist out of the hips. Pull the rib cage out of the waist. The gaze is straight ahead. Eyes are soft and can be softly closed or just gently open. Shoulders are loose. And the belly is full and easy, so just letting the belly go. Hands can rest face down on top of your thighs. Or if you prefer, you can put the right hand in your lap and cup the left hand in the right hand. And so just take a moment, get tall, get comfy. And for our meditation this evening, we're going to focus on the breath again, just like we did at the beginning of practice. But this time we're not going to control the breath. We're not going to consciously breathe in through the three parts. So just allow your breath to take a natural rhythm and allow the body to breathe itself. And just bring your focus and your awareness to your belly. And even though we're not trying to control the breath, as you inhale, feel that belly rising and think to yourself, rising. And as you exhale, feel the belly falling and think to yourself, falling. So that's our point of awareness, our very simple meditation this evening. On the inhale, think rising. And on the exhale, think falling. Rising in, falling out. Rising in, falling out.
When you feel your mind start to wander, and it will, either by sounds you hear around you or sensations in your body, just the thoughts in our heads, notice that your mind is wandering. Don't blame yourself, just notice. And bring your awareness back to the breath. The belly as it rises on the inhale, rising in. And the belly as it falls on the exhale, falling out. Just bringing the mind back to awareness of the breath. Rising in, falling out. Now, friends, you can stay with this meditation for our last few minutes. If you prefer to take a traditional end to class, I invite you with as little movement and fuss as necessary to lie back now. Shift all the way onto your back and take a rest pose. So if you decided to stay in meditation, stay with that focus on the movement of the breath through your body, rising in, falling out. If you've decided to lie back into a rest pose, take a moment to get super comfortable. Close the eyes, relax the forehead, arms out to the side, palms face up. Relax the shoulders, relax the toes. Just take rest for a couple of moments. Wherever you've chosen to be, I'll go quiet for a moment and let you know when it's time for us to move on. If you decided to stay in seated meditation, stay a moment longer. You decided to lie back in your rest pose, start to come alive again, make movements in the fingers and the toes. Take a big stretch, stretching toes and hands away from each other. And then roll over onto one side. And taking your time, use your hands to push yourself up to a seated position. Then everybody meet me in their seat. Eyes gently closed, palms touching in front of the heart. Thank you all so much for practicing with me this evening. Bow the head, drop the hands, and gently blink the eyes open. Come on back. All right. Thanks, friends, so much for practicing with me tonight. I will see you again in another couple of weeks. Stay safe and stay well.